On January 1st, 1752, in a cabin just outside the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I, Betsy Griscom, was born. I was the 8th out of 17 children born, but sadly, only 8 of us survived to adulthood. My family and I were Quakers. As Quakers, we believed in a simple life. My siblings and I went to a Quaker school 5 days a week and then again on Saturday mornings. At school, one of the basic lessons for girls was sewing. I loved it. My great-aunt Sarah, who owned her own business, taught me even more about sewing. My older sisters worked at a shop where they sewed bed covers, cushions, and pillows. In 1764, when I was 12, I visited my sisters to help with sewing at Mr. Webster's shop. When Mr. Webster saw my sewing skills, he signed me on as an apprentice. I worked 6 days a week at his shop and learned even more about sewing. It's a good thing I learned how to be a seamstress because I knew how to support myself. My first husband, John Ross, died in 1776 after a gunpowder explosion. After he died, I decided to open a seamstress shop just like my great-aunt Sarah had. Around the same time, the 13 colonies decided to break away from Great Britain. Luckily for me, this turned out to be good for my business. In 1776, 3 men came to my shop and asked me to make a flag to represent our new country. One of those 3 men later became our first president, George Washington. They had an idea of what they wanted the flag to look like. They had 13 red and white stripes to represent our 13 colonies. Then at the very top, there were 13 white stars with a blue background. Your flag today has 50 stars. I liked the design that was presented to me, but I made some minor changes to it. Instead of using their design where the stars had 6 points, I changed it so the stars would only have 5 points. Trust me, it was much faster and easier to sew it that way. The flag I made was approved by Congress on June 14th, 1777. Did you know that a holiday called Flag Day is celebrated every June 14th to honor the first flag of our nation? Some historians question whether I was the one who actually made the first American flag. Look at me, though. Do I look like I would lie? My family members all swear I was the one who made the first American flag. And to this day, they are still proud of me, even though I've been dead for 180 years. After I designed the first flag, my business did well. I asked to keep sewing more flags, as I also helped with the Revolutionary War. Efforts by making blankets and clothes for the soldiers. When I wasn't busy at my seamstress shop, I spent time with my family. My second husband, Joseph Ashburn, and I had 2 children, but our oldest child died before she even turned 1. Joseph died during the Revolutionary War when he was captured. We were only married for 4 years. My third husband was named John Claypool. When I married him in 1783, I became Betsy, Griscom, Ross, Ashburn, Claypool. That's a lot of names. John and I spent many happy years together before he died of a stroke in 1817. Including my daughter from my second marriage, John and I had 5 more daughters. One of our daughters died when she was 10 months old. Before I died, on January 30th, 1836, I lost 3 husbands, 2 children, but none of that stopped me from sewing and running my shop. I kept sewing flags until I was 75. By the time I died, there were 24 stars on the flag because 11 more states had been added. My story lives on, and people continue to visit my house in Philadelphia where it said, I made the first flag. If you ever go there, you should go see it. I don't mean to brag, but it's one of the most visited sites in Philadelphia. This Flag Day, please, think of me as you remember the legend of Betsy Ross. presentations, I'm going to hand out flags.
Awesome.